Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 93 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Inside one of the small towers among the Dan Tower complex, Emperor Ming and two of his subordinates were inspecting the Dan pills. Countless Dan pills floated densely in mid-air. Heart-cleansing pills, 935 of superior quality, 72 of supreme quality. One of the subordinates observed the Dan pills and stated his assessment. For Dan Tower's alchemists, creating medium-grade pills was considered a major failure, let alone producing waste pills. Accurate. The other subordinate confirmed after inspecting. Emperor Ming glanced at the pills, nodded in satisfaction, and carefully divided them into two separate groups for storage. Currently, he served as the Deputy Hall Master of Dan Tower's Heart Clearing Hall, responsible for the easiest task, identifying and collecting pills, specifically heart-cleansing pills. Heart-cleansing pills were the most commonly sold foundational pills in Dan Tower, accounting for about 30% of its total sales. As for collecting materials and alchemy itself, those required more specialized individuals. These pills have already been checked once by the alchemists, then inspected and stored by me here. Before selling, a final inspection will be conducted as well. Nothing could possibly go wrong, thought Emperor Ming, feeling at ease. Dan Tower's most intricate and crucial part lay in alchemy, but his abilities weren't suitable for meddling in that. By following Brother Luo Feng, I can still serve as the Deputy Hall Master of Heart Clearing Hall in Dan Tower, earning 200 primordial crystals per epoch. Living so leisurely for 10,000 epochs means accumulating 2 million primordial crystals. Emperor Ming was quite pleased with his work. With this income, along with free residence in Luo Feng's cave mansion, he could still manage to amass a fortune. Deputy Hall Master, the production of heart-cleansing pills has steadily increased over the last epoch, remarked one of the subordinates. I've heard the insect nest people aren't pleased. Do you think the insect nest will make a move? The other subordinate seemed concerned. Although they were just ordinary members, they were quite informed and aware of the ongoing conflict between Insect Nest and Dan Tower. In the past, Dan Tower had conceded, but now it was rapidly expanding its production. Given the Insect Nest's domineering style, how could it remain tolerant? Naturally, these ordinary members were a bit uneasy. Why panic? The Dan Tower owner and Luo Feng Divine Emperor themselves are stationed here. You have nothing to fear, Emperor Ming reprimanded. Deputy Hall Master, you're from Source World and aren't scared, but we are. We've even temporarily cancelled our external accommodations and moved entirely into Dan Tower. The two subordinates spoke with visible worry. In the Dan Tower complex, personnel like Luo Feng or the key alchemists were provided with private cave mansions suitable for retreats and cultivation. But for those at the very bottom, there weren't any dedicated places for training in seclusion. Living permanently inside the Dan Tower meant their cultivation routines were far from ideal. You've even cancelled your rentals. Emperor Ming was startled. We don't dare to leave Dan Tower at all. If the insect nest can't deal with the tower owner or Luo Feng Divine Emperor, they might vent their anger on us instead. The two subordinates spoke with great caution as they didn't possess any spiritual avatars. Emperor Ming nodded in acknowledgement. Through Luo Feng, Emperor Ming had learned that the Insect Nest Master's spiritual avatar had already clashed once with Luo Feng. It was anticipated that the Insect Nest Master might attempt revenge again. You must indeed be careful, Emperor Ming advised. In confrontations at the level of the Insect Nest Master and Luo Feng, he knew he couldn't provide any meaningful assistance. The members of Dan Tower were somewhat uneasy but couldn't give up such a lucrative job. They could only exercise caution. Luo Feng and Changqing building owner were also fully prepared. Since they had initiated normal competition, preparation for conflict with the Insect Nest Master was inevitable. Her spiritual avatar suffered a setback. Given her temperament, she'll definitely retaliate, Changqing building owner spoke resolutely. If her true body intervenes, I'll have to rely on formations for defense, Luo Feng replied with awareness, but as long as I focus solely on defense, I am confident in holding my ground. Defense alone will suffice, Changqing building owner laughed. After all, this is Yulon City. Within the city, there are laws forbidding mutual slaughter. Therefore, she can't act recklessly here. Outside the city, she could unleash her aggression. But inside, there were numerous restrictions. Given her vindictive nature, I estimate she'll strike within a few epochs, Changqing building owner predicted. I'll keep one of my avatars stationed here long term, just waiting for her arrival, Luo Feng smiled. Time passed. Epoch after epoch went by. In the blink of an eye, 10 epochs had elapsed, and the insect nest master had not made a move. Both the vigilant Luo Feng and Changqing building owner were baffled. The insect nest master took a loss and then held back. Changqing building owner couldn't believe it. That's entirely out of character for her. In all of Yulon City, who didn't know that the insect nest master was tyrannical? As one of the 3 leaders of theft and plunder forces, the insect nest master stood side by side with the master of deceit workshop and the shadow tower owner, all notorious figures. However, the master of deceit workshop and shadow tower owner usually acted cautiously and calculatedly. The insect nest master, on the other hand, operated with a domineering approach, submitting to her meant flourishing, defying her meant annihilation. Could it be that after her spiritual avatar clashed with Luo Feng, she determined it wasn't worth the risk? Changqing building owner speculated. I used secret techniques to wound her, but I estimate it was nothing more than a minor injury, Luo Feng replied with perplexity. Such a minor injury shouldn't matter much at all. During the clash within the illusory insect nest, his Lai Yuan technique had sliced a wound. Yet compared to the entirety of the illusory insect nest, that wound was far from substantial. Perhaps issues in the dark sacred realm are delaying her revenge, Changqing building owner suggested. Luo Feng nodded. Years flowed by. Luo Feng and the Dan Tower owner continued to wait patiently, prepared at all times to fend off an attack from the insect nest master. Unconsciously, over 200 epochs had elapsed. Within the vast interior of the insect nest, finally stabilizing the contamination. Even the insect nest master's face bore signs of exhaustion. The sudden loss of billions of souls had left her reeling. These imprisoned souls, tortured across endless ages yet remaining intact, were integral to her power. Losing such a great number had truly pained her. After consuming another batch of cultivators from my homeland, I have finally stabilized my spiritual power and suppressed the contamination completely, the insect nest master reflected. In her homeland, the source world, everything served as nourishment for her. Countless cultivators' lives were hers to consume at any time. Though her soul capacity was vast, it was nonetheless limited. While the contamination is now under control, any direct clash between my true body and Luo Feng wielding his will secret technique might cause another major setback. After spending such a long time stabilizing herself, the insect nest master was in no mood to suffer another hit from the Lai Yuan technique. I need a sufficiently powerful secret treasure that can resist mental attacks. The insect nest master muttered, feeling troubled. While she did possess a mighty secret treasure, it was situated within the dark sacred realm. Given the dangers of the dark sacred realm, where challenges arose constantly and where even half-primordial level entities were common, she prioritized using her treasures there. The dark sacred realm remains my top priority. As for Yulon City, I'll find a way to purchase a suitable treasure. Without adequate protection for my spiritual will, I won't confront Luo Feng again. The insect nest master contemplated. Unfortunately, the extensive losses I've suffered mean I can only muster 30 billion primordial crystals at the moment. Items like the Undying Heart, which offer sufficient protection for spiritual consciousness while matching one's own essence, were exceedingly rare. Purchasing such treasures for 30 billion primordial crystals would be considered just a fair market price. These treasures were extremely difficult to acquire. If a powerhouse wanted to sell such an item, it was often purchased by their close allies at exorbitant rates immediately. Without a treasure, I'll have to bear this grievance, thought the insect nest master, feeling irked. Normal elders, whose spiritual will reached its peak bottleneck, would only sustain minor injuries from Luo Feng's Lai Yuan technique and recover quickly. Ironically, it was the insect nest master who felt more vulnerable to Luo Feng's Lai Yuan technique. 300 epochs had passed since Luo Feng's clash with the insect nest master's spiritual avatar. During this time, Luo Feng experienced nothing but calm days in Yulon City, land of origin, inside the Star Tower. Luo Feng sat cross-legged, his brow marked by the eye of life and death, focusing on the 195th sample of early Divine Emperor-level primordial bloodline. Each strand of primordial bloodline unveiled a hint of the mystery that lay outside the cage. Luo Feng could sense countless intricate secret patterns merging in perfect unity, forming an innate masterpiece. Yet he knew that his own path was far from achieving such perfection. Nonetheless, Luo Feng could also sense his growth. The more he delved into these bloodlines, the more he uncovered patterns. His understanding of the integration of life and destruction had reached profound depths, allowing his conception to achieve 90% similarity with the primordial bloodlines. Simple integration is too ordinary. True fusion of life and destruction transforms everything. Luo Feng's mind spontaneously surged with inspiration, pushing him toward attempting true fusion. Suddenly, a fully fused path surfaced in his heart. The life and death Tao has broken through. Luo Feng exclaimed in pleasant surprise, so quickly. Previously, when he advanced the life and death Tao from the ultimate realm of Godly King to the early stage of Divine Emperor, Luo Feng had done so through deliberate contemplation and study. This time, his advancement came naturally, stemming from profound insights gained through the exploration of primordial bloodlines. When the accumulated knowledge reached critical depth, the life and death Tao transitioned naturally into the middle stage of Divine Emperor. I truly owe thanks to Yuan Xiong Palace Master. With his gift of 50 billion primordial crystals, I've been able to afford such abundant resources for my cultivation and understanding. Luo Feng felt thoroughly satisfied. Over the past 300 epochs, he had frequently used various auxiliary elixirs sourced from Dan Tower. These aids greatly accelerated his comprehension of primordial bloodlines. I haven't even finished studying the complete set of early Divine Emperor-level bloodlines yet. Higher-level mid-stage, late-stage, and even perfected bloodlines await. Luo Feng brimmed with confidence. Now, his life and death Tao had ascended to the middle stage of Divine Emperor. When he fully analyzed the remaining bloodlines, where might his life and death Tao lead? Boom tilde tilde tilde. As Luo Feng conjured a thought, an endless blood sea materialized around him. The middle stage of Divine Emperor's life and death Tao represented an evolution in quality compared to the previous stage. The middle stage of Divine Emperor's life and death Tao should rival ordinary paths at the half-primordial level. Attempting to perceive its magnitude, Luo Feng gauged the immense leap encompassed in his advancement. This vast improvement in his Tao far surpassed the strength offered by artifacts like the Undying Heart or the Palm World. Ha ha, this is a day worth celebrating, enthused Luo Feng, his heart stirring with excitement. I've yet to deliver the gifts I prepared for my masters. After returning to the land of origin, his focus had been entirely consumed by the study of primordial bloodlines. Only now did he feel free. Let's pay a visit to each of my masters. Carrying his gifts, Luo Feng set off initially toward the Chu capital to visit his master, Emperor Chu. In a secluded courtyard within Chu capital, Emperor Chu leisurely flipped through a tome. His current status in the land of origin was lofty and unassailable, carefree and unbothered. No one dared provoke him. Even certain duties that emperors were obligated to fulfill had been exempted by the primogenitor on his behalf. Emperor Chu now focused his entire mind on comprehending the great Tao of the ultimate realm. Emperor Chu looked up in surprise. A man dressed in black with black hair appeared above the courtyard before descending down. Luo Feng. Emperor Chu rose with a smile. How do you have the time to visit me? He was well aware that his disciples' focus was primarily outside the source world. The two nations' ancestors, Emperor Qing, and the others were the same. They rarely made appearances in the land of origin. Master, Luo Feng greeted with a smile. I visited the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm and managed to gather some resources. I've prepared cultivation treasures for you, Master. You still think of me? Emperor Chu grinned widely, evidently pleased. Luo Feng waved his hand, and next to him appeared an array of cultivation treasures. Each item was meticulously placed with care. The faint energy naturally emanating from the numerous rare artifacts of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm rendered Emperor Chu slightly dizzy. Yet amidst the dizziness, his thoughts quickened, and inspiration began to surface. These are the auxiliary treasures I collected in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm. Based on Master's life form level, I believe these are the most suitable treasures, 92 types in total. Master can try each one to see which suits you best, Luo Feng explained. I will now send the methods of usage for these auxiliary treasures to Master. Emperor Chu received the communication. Even as the Emperor of Flame Wind Ancient Country, Emperor Chu had only heard of 3 of the 92 rare treasures before, as he had found them too expensive to acquire. Master cultivates the path of destruction. While in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, I sought out various inheritances related to it, Luo Feng said. Anything below the Divine Emperor level was cheap, I bought over 100 of them. Master can use them as references. Oh. Emperor Chu listened attentively. And this one? Luo Feng flipped his hand, presenting a book. These are my personal reflections on the path of destruction. Master should read it more often. Currently, what Master needed most was to comprehend the ultimate realm of the path of destruction. The Path of Destruction, written by Luo Feng, did not exceed the scope of the ultimate realm of the Godly King. However, after witnessing countless fusions of life and destruction transcending the braided cage, Luo Feng's understanding of destruction had grown ever deeper. Looking back, writing a book on the Path of Destruction was naturally extraordinary. Luo Feng also intended to give Morosa a version spanning up to the early stage of the Divine Emperor level. Though Morosa relied mostly on consuming resources to achieve the ultimate realm, his chances to break through to the Divine Emperor were minuscule. Yet, occasional support might someday lead to a miracle. How much primordial crystal did you spend on all these treasures? Emperor Chu asked as he gazed upon the myriad treasures carefully arranged before him. Not much, Luo Feng replied vaguely. It was merely about 1 million primordial crystals. Given his current standing, it was indeed a trivial amount. Emperor Chu looked at the book Luo Feng had personally written. Of the 92 auxiliary treasures you've given me, I had only heard of 3 before. It's clear these must be incredibly costly. Emperor Chu sighed. And this tome you personally wrote, it must have taken a long time to complete, didn't it? Luo Feng. Emperor Chu gazed at Luo Feng. You've only been outside the source world for 1,000+ epochs, there's no need to trouble yourself with looking after your master. You should focus entirely on your own cultivation. Though I've never ventured beyond the source world myself, I've long understood that the outside is fraught with danger and survival is incredibly difficult. In the world beyond the source world, survival depends on one's own grit. Competing against the experts of countless realms. I, as your master, live peacefully in the land of origin, but you face extreme dangers out there. Emperor Chu and the other emperors were all well aware of the terror awaiting outside the source world. Your cultivation is far more important. Wait until you've truly established yourself before you think of looking after me again. Emperor Chu glanced at the generous gifts, reluctant to accept them. These treasures, go exchange them back for primordial crystals. That won't be necessary. Luo Feng waved it off. Rest assured, Master, I ventured into the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, which is comparatively less perilous, far safer than the Dark Sacred Realm. In the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, I'm already among the top tier. There are but a few stronger than me. Don't deceive your master. Emperor Chu shook his head. We emperors of the Imperial clan are destined to venture beyond the source world. Regarding the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, I have some shallow knowledge, even as recorded by the primogenitor. The primogenitor himself admitted that he wouldn't dare claim to be among the top tier there. There are plenty stronger than him. Luo Feng pondered. In Yulon City alone, there were dozens stronger than the two nations' ancestors. Across the 35 cities of the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, there must be thousands stronger. Indeed, there are many in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm stronger than the two nations' ancestors, Luo Feng acknowledged before meeting his master's gaze. But compared to me, there truly aren't many. Emperor Chu scrutinized Luo Feng. Are you saying you're stronger than the two nations' ancestors? Yes, considerably stronger, Luo Feng replied without hesitation. Stronger by a level. Emperor Chu was stunned. A full level? I've recently broken through. Luo Feng smiled faintly. Master is the first to know aside from myself. Emperor Chu's heart churned in monumental waves. How long had the two nations' ancestors spent cultivating? They had endured countless reincarnation eras of the land of origin. Even ventured into the dark sacred realm. His own disciple, Luo Feng, had spent how much time in the Nine Rivers sacred realm? A mere 1,000+ epochs, and yet he had surpassed the two nations' ancestors by a full level? It was horrifying. Master, can you accept these gifts now? Luo Feng asked. I'll take them, Emperor Chu replied, finally snapping out of his shock. He reminded, the more dazzling your talents, the more you must remain steady. Don't worry, Master, Luo Feng said. Sit down quickly. Emperor Chu waved his hand to collect the treasures and said, tell me more about the Nine Rivers sacred realm. My understanding of it largely comes from the imperial clan's records. Even Emperor Qing refuses to share much detail with me. All right. I'll give you a thorough rundown, Luo Feng agreed, smiling as he poured wine for his master and himself before sitting down to chat. They talked for a long time before Luo Feng bid farewell. Remaining in the courtyard, Emperor Chu felt an emotional sigh escape him. Back when I took Luo Feng as my disciple, I thought to nurture him well, believing his exceptional talent might allow him to accompany me in ventures beyond the source world. He reflected, who would have imagined that he's already surpassed the two nations' ancestors by a full level? My disciple, Luo Feng. Emperor Chu didn't know what to say. His disciple's talent was utterly extraordinary, a meteoric rise. Even the trio of Emperor Yang, Emperor Shi, and Emperor Wu had suffered 2 deaths and 1 escape because they slightly blocked his path. Emperor Shi and Emperor Wu were ultimately slain by the Flame Wind primogenitor. The primogenitor truly has greater foresight than me. Emperor Chu felt mixed emotions. I wonder just how far my disciple will go. Luo Feng also paid a visit to Mountain Sitting Guest. Mountain Sitting Guest, whose strength was much inferior to Emperor Chu's, received gifts Luo Feng had prepared with care, though they amounted to only about 10,000 primordial crystals in total. His physical form couldn't endure excessively expensive treasures. Master, these are tomes I acquired in the Nine Rivers sacred realm, most suited for your world lineage. There are also dozens of artifact refining scriptures among them. Luo Feng presented the tomes as gifts to his master. In the Nine Rivers sacred realm, scriptures below the Divine Emperor level were exceedingly cheap. In Yulon City alone, where millions of cultivators resided, most of whom stood at the level of ultimate realm life forms, many were content selling scriptures for 100 or 200 primordial crystals. Very good. Mountain Sitting Guest smiled approvingly at the gifts. Luo Feng's feelings for Mountain Sitting Guest far surpassed those for Emperor Chu. Without Mountain Sitting Guest, there would be no Earth-Human clan. The Star Tower, the 9-volume manual, the Lai Yuan technique, all were brought to him by his master, Mountain Sitting Guest. Luo Feng had always held deep gratitude. Luo Feng, you know your master's talent and comprehension. In terms of great Tao insight, I've yet to reach the second realm of the godly king. Mountain Sitting Guest chuckled. You don't have to expend excessive energy on me. Having achieved vengeance and now enjoying peaceful days, your master is already very content, Mountain Sitting Guest added. Luo Feng could sense the profound serenity and dispassion in his master. Understanding Mountain Sitting Guest's past, Luo Feng realized his greatest concerns, his most cherished loved ones, had perished long ago. Decades of life afterward had been driven solely by the pursuit of vengeance. With Luo Feng's assistance, vengeance had been fulfilled, and his master's desires ultimately quieted. Cultivation? His master had little ambition to pursue it further. Master, these inheritances can serve as entertainment if nothing else, Luo Feng said. Very well. I'll take my time exploring these gifts, Mountain Sitting Guest replied with a smile. Perhaps I might advance further and reach the second realm of the godly king. Luo Feng didn't linger long with mountain-sitting guest, as he sensed his master's enthusiasm for conversation had waned. Time, space. Mountain-sitting guest sat quietly, summoning a mirror before him. Within its reflection stood a woman teaching a young boy. The primordial cosmos exerts lesser restrictions, allowing slight reversals in time and space to revive weaker beings. But the temporal weight of the land of origin is far too immense. Reversing time and resurrecting the dead is impossible here. Mountain-sitting guest sighed. Senior sister. Mountain-sitting guest gazed at the reflected woman. She was preserved in this mirror-like secret treasure which carried imprints of his memories. The mirror contained a repository of countless recollections, his moments with his senior sister, with his fellow disciples and brothers, and with his friends. He often passed time gazing upon the mirror. How I long to return to the past. Mountain-sitting guest closed his eyes. Even just for a fleeting moment, afterward, I'd gladly accept death. After delivering his gifts to each of his masters, Luo Feng could sense their joy, but only mountain-sitting guest appeared indifferent to material offerings despite his visible smile. Master's regrets. I still cannot resolve them. Luo Feng remained powerless. After presenting his gifts, Luo Feng resumed a peaceful life. In Yulon City, the insect nest master didn't trouble him, and the Dan Tower's business flourished day by day. Luo Feng currently had no plans for hunting expeditions. Instead, he was fully immersed in studying a series of primordial bloodlines. Each comparison of his inner completion against the perfect solution of the primordial bloodline brought him abundant insights. In tranquility like flowing water, another 1,000+ epochs passed unknowingly. Yulon City. A thin veil of rain draped over the vast heavens and earth. Luo Feng, restless amidst the silence, stepped out of his cave mansion. The more I understand, the more I realize how difficult it is to escape the braided cage. Luo Feng pondered. His current aim wasn't to achieve a breakthrough in the life and death Tao but to comprehend the mysteries of the primordial bloodlines, how they achieved perfect union, seamlessly natural. Perfect union, seamlessly natural, would lead to entirely breaking through the braided cage and reaching a new realm. I've spent considerable time, 5 full cycles of study, on the 323 varieties of early-stage Divine Emperor primordial bloodlines before setting them temporarily aside. Each new bout of comprehension would yield something new, though the returns diminished as time went on. Luo Feng had invested nearly 1,500 epochs acquiring and studying these primordial bloodlines. Most of these 1,500 epochs were devoted to comprehending early-stage Divine Emperor primordial bloodlines. Only recently did he start studying the middle-stage bloodlines, and currently, he had managed to meticulously analyze 34 types. Every variety of middle-stage Divine Emperor bloodline has brought me tremendous insights. I've delved into 34 of them in succession, and my soul aches with exhaustion, Luo Feng thought. For these roughly 1,500 epochs, he had constantly been using various auxiliary treasures to aid cultivation, which had taken a toll on his soul. Only now did he decide to rest. I can feel it. Every piece of primordial bloodline draws me closer to escaping the braided cage. I must thoroughly study these primordial bloodlines. There's no room for impatience. Luo Feng treasured these resources greatly. At this moment, Luo Feng had the intuition that, with enough time and effort to consolidate his understanding, he could soon upgrade the life and death Tao to the late-stage Divine Emperor level. However, he wasn't in a rush. The deeper the accumulation, the more profound the understanding of the life and death Tao, thereby fortifying the stability of his chosen path. No need to rush, he reassured himself. Once the life and death Tao reached the late-stage Divine Emperor, it would elevate him above even the 3 Hall Masters in rank. In the dark sacred realm, he would shine as an unparalleled figure. Yet now, he could almost touch this realm. At times, Luo Feng wondered, was he truly a peerless prodigy? Other cultivators remained trapped at some bottleneck, unable to break through. Step by step, Luo Feng ascended naturally to higher realms. Compared to other cultivators, perhaps I am able to grasp the essence of the Tao more directly, Luo Feng pondered. Many cultivators struggled endlessly at the periphery of the great Tao, while Luo Feng could see and seize its core truth with clarity. I see many cultivators as mediocre. Perhaps in Senior Yuan's eyes, I too might appear mediocre, Luo Feng chuckled lightly. The fine rain continued to fall. For once, Luo Feng refrained from cultivation, taking pleasure in admiring the city he resided in. Ha ha ha, ha 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 ha. A grim laughter rang out from the distance. Luo Feng turned to look. Yulon City sprawled across vast lands. Beside a lake stood an elder drinking wine and laughing mournfully. The sorrow embedded in the laughter was palpable even to Luo Feng. An ultimate realm godly king? Luo Feng instantly discerned the elder's power. He quickly suppressed his own aura, letting it barely reach the divine emperor threshold. Luo Feng approached. Old fellow, what weighs so heavily on your heart? Luo Feng produced a jug of wine and tossed it toward the elder. The elder caught the jug without much thought, took a sip, and his eyes lit up. He nodded in approval. Good wine. I was merely feeling irked earlier. Laughing it out helps, ha ha ha. Irked? Luo Feng asked, observing him. I, an ultimate realm godly king, have spent ages here in Yulon City doing odd jobs, still having to pay residence fees, cave mansion rental fees, and more. After tens of thousands of epochs, I just managed to save a bit of wealth, the elder replied. I finally bought some breakthrough assisting elixirs, but on my way back, I discovered the elixirs were gone. Gone? Luo Feng deduced. An ultimate realm godly king wouldn't simply lose their treasures. There was only one likely explanation: they had been stolen. Luo Feng himself had experienced theft upon arriving in Yulon City. Those of us weak ultimate realm godly kings often don't even notice when we're robbed, the elder lamented. In the past, I didn't care much when I was stolen from. But this time, it was the hard-earned fortune I had used to purchase auxiliary elixirs. Now, it's all gone. It's too difficult, far too difficult. Earning primordial crystals is difficult, surviving is difficult, cultivation is difficult, the elder said with complexity in his tone. Yet, after taking a couple more sips, the elder laughed again. Still, despite the hardships, at least in Yulon City, there's hope for cultivation. Indeed, there's hope, Luo Feng nodded. Everyone who came to Yulon City did so in pursuit of greater progress on the cultivation path. Thank you for the fine wine, old friend, the elder said with a smile before departing. Life as a cultivator must continue forward. Watching the elder leave, Luo Feng murmured, this is the normal life of Yulon City's bottom tier. Di Fu and Emperor Ming, upon arriving at Yulon City, faced similar struggles, finding even the most ordinary jobs proved immensely challenging. The majority of cultivators in Yulon City, totaling in the billions, belong to this bottom-tier population. Unable to hunt low-level primordial life due to lack of strength, they sought ways to serve the strong, merely to earn a fraction of resources. Still, they were prone to theft while having to pay residence fees and cave mansion rental fees. A short distance away, the elder suddenly froze, staring at the wine jug in his hand. Within the jug was an invisible seal hiding a piece of primordial crystal. This one piece of primordial crystal was equivalent to 10,000 primordial crystals. 10,000 primordial crystals. The elder turned rapidly, searching for Luo Feng's figure by the lakeside, but he was nowhere to be seen. At this moment, the elder realized that the man from earlier was no ordinary individual. Thank you, Senior, the elder murmured in gratitude, resisting the urge to draw attention to himself. Instead, he immediately hurried toward his cave mansion. He dared not carry such a massive sum of primordial crystals around. Walking through Yulon City, Luo Feng observed the numerous bottom-tier cultivators scattered throughout. Most lacked steady, long-term employment. For many factions, maintaining long-term personnel was a heavy burden. Even at a mere 20 primordial crystals per epoch, over 100,000 epochs, or 1,000,000 epochs, the costs would become staggering. Thus, most factions preferred temporary workers, hiring more during busy periods and dismissing them during lulls. Even so, bottom-tier cultivators are the most vulnerable to theft. Luo Feng noticed multiple thefts occurring as he wandered through the city. They are impoverished, weak, and can't afford treasures such as the Illusion Realm maze. Huff! A flying boat soared past in the distance. Luo Feng sensed 5 cultivators aboard, judging from their aura, all likely Divine Emperor early stage enlightened. He guessed they had recently returned from a hunt. In Yulon City, even those who escaped the bottom tier, with greater strength at the Divine Emperor early stage enlightened level, must risk their lives to hunt. Even Divine Emperor middle stage enlightened cultivators often take on these hunting roles. Only a rare few managed to secure key positions in major factions. Luo Feng reflected. Take Emperor Qing, for instance, a Divine Emperor middle stage enlightened cultivator who, due to Luo Feng's connection, had landed a desirable post in the Dan Tower. Otherwise, with so many powerful individuals in the city, why would the Changqing building owner choose him? Within Yulon City, few truly led comfortable lives. Over 99% faced persistent hardship. Even in the face of so much adversity, they all came here for the sake of their cultivation journey. Luo Feng reached the entrance of the cave mansion belonging to one of 3 major predatory factions, the Insect Nest. Even from a great distance, the enormous, towering spherical entity was visible. Its surface featured countless frenzied faces embedded within, and numerous holes allowed a constant stream of cultivators to come and go. The Insect Nest Master, Luo Feng remarked calmly. Though he hadn't hurried to reach the late stage of the life and death Dao. Even at the middle stage, when coupled with life and destruction already at late Divine Emperor levels, plus his extensive years of research into primordial bloodlines, Luo Feng's foundation was profoundly robust, allowing him to formulate numerous secret techniques. He didn't place much importance on the 3 Hall Masters and naturally regarded the Insect Nest Master even less. The infinite primordial space contains countless source worlds and even more innumerable billions of worlds, Luo Feng mused. Regardless of whether or not there's an Insect Nest Master, Master of Deceit Workshop, or Shadow Tower owner, there will always be those willing to steal and plunder. For resources, no means were too extreme. In the 9 Rivers Sacred Realms 35 cities, every city faced similar challenges. Even if Luo Feng became a city lord and forcibly dismantled predatory groups like the Insect Nest, theft and plunder would remain unavoidable. Luo Feng came to my cave mansion and is staring at me. This massive insect nest was the physical body of the Insect Nest Master. Standing outside, Luo Feng gazed at the insect nest without hesitation, naturally drawing the attention of the Insect Nest Master. I haven't yet procured a suitable mental secret treasure, the Insect Nest Master thought worriedly. I'll have to endure this for now. But once the treasure is in my possession, I'll show Luo Feng the cost of provoking me. A sudden mental transmission echoed within the insect nest. Insect Nest Master, I'm right outside your cave mansion, staring at your massive body. Are you pretending not to notice me? Luo Feng's voice resounded. Luo Feng, the Insect Nest Master burned with anger, glaring at Luo Feng as she transmitted her reply, you've crossed the line. You went to the Dan Tower and directly attacked me. I'm merely standing outside your cave mansion and speaking a few words, is that overstepping? Luo Feng's transmitted voice carried a playful humor. The Insect Nest Master fell silent. Your courage is far smaller than the rumors suggest. Seeing the Master's silence and lack of retort, Luo Feng dismissed any further interaction and departed without lingering. The Insect Nest Master had swallowed her pride. For him to dare provoke me must mean he has some backing, the Master speculated, her instincts sharpened by countless years of existence. As Luo Feng wandered the streets of Yulon City, within a modest cave mansion located in the city's outer district, 2 weak cultivators gathered. Prepare yourselves, the king will soon enter Yulon City, a thin cultivator transmitted mentally. The king is finally coming? An elderly cultivator grew excited. I will immediately mobilize my subordinates and prepare them. The king's arrival must remain known only to the leaders, the thin cultivator cautioned. Everyone below the leaders must stay in the dark. Rest assured, my subordinates believe this is simply another ordinary infiltration and assassination mission. Such operations have been common in the past, the elderly cultivator assured. The truth of the plan remains with me alone. The thin cultivator nodded via mental transmission. Get ready and wait patiently. When the king enters Yulon City, he'll communicate directly with us leaders. The elderly cultivator's eagerness showed. We've waited so long for this. Finally, we'll tear Yulon City apart. Its billions of cultivators will be a feast to savor. Once we've devoured enough cultivators, we'll have a chance at regaining our freedom. Out in the broader world, killing even one cultivator posed significant challenges. But breaching Yulon City would present billions of cultivators as ready prey. Wait patiently, the day is near, the thin cultivator promised with a faint smile. Luo Feng had been in Yulon City for quite some time. Although he had heard of low-level primordial life sneaking into the city and launching assassinations, he had yet to encounter one himself. His thoughts were entirely focused on cultivation, and he hadn't even applied for the elder examination. To Luo Feng, becoming an elder would divert his attention. He needed to concentrate solely on cultivation. Swish, swish, swish tilde tilde tilde. Outside the Dan Tower main building, figures descended one after another, completely blocking the main entrance. This made the customers who came to purchase elixirs somewhat uneasy. One by one, they hurriedly moved away to avoid trouble. It's the insect nest. Cultivators from the insect nest? Looks like the insect nest and the Dan Tower are about to clash. We'd better stay out of this. Many customers quickly fled the scene. Chaos erupted near the Dan Tower main building. The attendants and mid to high-level staff were apprehensive as they looked at the figures of the cultivators outside the building. What's the insect nest doing here? Since Luo Feng Divine Emperor joined our Dan Tower, we've been expanding our business for 1,500 eras. The insect nest hasn't made a move, but now they suddenly show up. The Dan Tower members were somewhat panicked and immediately reported upwards. Soon, the news reached Changqing building owner and Luo Feng. Brother Luo Feng, members of the insect nest have mobilized on a large scale and surrounded the Dan Tower main building, Changqing building owner transmitted. However, under the regulations of Yulon City, they wouldn't dare go too far. It's probably a negotiation visit. Let's observe their intentions for now, Luo Feng said with a hint of curiosity. The insect nest's leader had tolerated things for so long, had they finally run out of patience? Dan Tower main building. A towering, scale-armored man led a group of insect nest cultivators into the building. His cold gaze and prominent, thick-scaled tail made him stand out. As he walked into the Dan Tower, the vast space seemed to contort around him, making him its center. The invisible pressure caused the Dan Tower members to tremble with fear. Elder Saluo, there's no need to intimidate the juniors, Changqing building owner appeared, and the building's formation began operating naturally, suppressing the terrifying aura of the towering scale-armored man. Elder Saluo, one of the 7 top figures of the insect nest, was at the elder level. Building owner Changqing, Elder Saluo said coldly. I'm not here for you. Oh. Changqing building owner realized that the insect nest's intentions differed from what he had initially thought. Bring out your Dan Tower's Jiyu Qingyuan alchemist. Elder Saluo declared coldly. Jiyu Qingyuan? Changqing building owner frowned slightly but still gave an order, go and summon Jiyu Qingyuan to come here. Understood. A subordinate immediately left. Elder Saluo, alchemist Jiyu Qingyuan is one of our 7 high-level alchemists in the Dan Tower. I hold him in high regard, Changqing building owner said with a smile. I'm curious how he has offended you. Elder Saluo cast a sidelong glance at Changqing building owner. Changqing building owner relied on alchemy for resources, while Elder Saluo was a battle specialist who frequently hunted in the dark sacred realm. Naturally, he didn't think much of Changqing. You'll understand soon enough, Elder Saluo said indifferently. Changqing building owner slightly furrowed his brows. Both sides fell silent, their members not daring to make a sound. Shortly after, alchemist Jiyu Qingyuan arrived. Dressed humbly, the middle-aged man had the strength of a mid-stage divine emperor enlightened cultivator. His alchemy technique was unmatched. Aside from Changqing building owner, he was the best among the Dan Tower's 7 high-level alchemists. You're here, Jiyu Qingyuan said, glancing at Elder Saluo and his group. Did you think hiding in the Dan Tower would keep you safe? Elder Saluo's eyes filled with killing intent. You truly have guts. In Yulon City, you dare to assassinate two of my mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened subordinates. According to the city's regulations, killing cultivators within its borders means you deserve death. Do you have evidence? Ji Qingyuan calmly asked. Rage flickered in Elder Saluo's eyes. Of course, he lacked evidence. The insect nest had paid a heavy price to deduce that the culprit was Ji Qingyuan. Two mid-stage Divine Emperors. Changqing building owner said in surprise. In Yulon City, without disturbing the city's defense systems, it's nearly impossible to silently kill such powerful individuals, even at the elder level. He used poison, Elder Saluo explained. I asked two friends for assistance to investigate past time space traces and causality, confirming the poison was his doing. Why would I poison two of your insect nest members for no reason? Ji Qingyuan questioned doubtfully. Your sole disciple was killed during a raid. Elder Saluo gazed at Ji Qingyuan. You suspected my two subordinates were responsible. Indeed. Ji Qingyuan nodded and sighed. My only disciple was killed. He worked carefully to accumulate resources through artifact refining skills within the city. But he was still targeted. Just for purchasing a treasure, he was ambushed and killed while returning to his cave mansion. Before he died, he transmitted a message to me revealing the two culprits. They were members of your insect nest. A deathbed transmission? Elder Saluo scoffed. It could very well have been other raiders in disguise. In Yulon City, disguise techniques are endless. Determining the culprits requires sufficient evidence. Ji Qingyuan stared at Elder Saluo. My disciple was weak, and I am merely an ordinary alchemist. I lack the ability to poison two mid-stage Divine Emperor Enlightened individuals. You also said that identifying culprits in Yulon City demands conclusive evidence. Elder Saluo glared at the alchemist. He knew full well that Ji Qingyuan was the murderer. So, the insect nest made an error? Elder Saluo asked. Ji Qingyuan, come with me. Cooperate with the investigation and prove your innocence. Take him away. On what grounds? Without evidence, why take him? Other Dan Tower alchemists voiced their anger. Elder Saluo. Changqing building owner interjected, you intend to forcibly take Ji Qingyuan without evidence? Because I'm an elder. Elder Saluo shot a cold glance at Changqing building owner and displayed a time-space projection. With evidence of past time-space showing Ji Qingyuan in close proximity to the deceased, coupled with causality traces, I suspect him as the culprit. I also have Elder Dayu's issued decree. Does that give me the right to take him for investigation? Elder Saluo was enraged. Two key subordinates had been poisoned within the city. What leader could endure such a loss? We can't let them take Brother Ji. If he's taken, he's as good as dead. Once taken away, whether he's the culprit or not will be decided entirely by them. Other alchemists spoke up in succession. Ji Qingyuan was well respected among the Dan Tower alchemists. You aim to stop me? I have evidence of suspicion, I have Elder Dayu's decree, and I personally came as an elder to apprehend a suspect. You plan to obstruct me? Elder Saluo looked at Changqing building owner. Changqing building owner knew that if he intervened, he would lack justification. Under reasonable suspicion, Elder Saluo indeed had the authority to forcibly act and take the suspect. A new lot. Elder Saluo's gaze swept across the furious alchemists. I'm speaking with the building owner, how dare you interrupt? Record every single one of their names. Understood, his subordinates replied promptly, eyeing the alchemists one by one. The alchemists paled and grew uneasy. Ji Qingyuan, rest assured. I'll meet with Elder Dayu to ensure you receive fair treatment, Changqing building owner stated. Thank you, building owner. Sorry to trouble you. Ji Qingyuan bowed respectfully, remaining calm despite having prepared for the worst. Building owner, you give him too much credit. A black-haired, black-clad man appeared. Hum? Both sides turned their attention to Luo Feng, whose arrival caused Elder Sa Luo's expression to change slightly. He didn't care much for Changqing building owner, but Luo Feng Divine Emperor's reputation soared after toppling Elder Qian He. Boom! As Luo Feng emerged, an invisible and terrifying aura swept outwards. Elder Sa Luo's expression shifted as he stood unmoved, his scale armor glowing faintly as he resisted the force. But his subordinate insect nest cultivators couldn't withstand it. They were swept off their feet and flung outside by the overwhelming pressure. How dare the insect nest act presumptuously in my domain? Luo Feng fixed his gaze on Elder Sa Luo. You must be Elder Sa Luo. Elder Sa Luo growled in anger. Luo Feng, I have suspicion evidence, an elder do you decree? The insect nest's trash, daring to pursue a culprit? Luo Feng sneered. Do you even know what your nest is infamous for? Elder Sa Luo's face darkened. At the elder level, city rules generally required adherence, and direct combat within the city was highly discouraged. You, Elder Sa Luo exclaimed in fury. You've gone too far. Listen carefully. Luo Feng's voice was cold as he addressed Elder Sa Luo, his words reaching the ears of the insect nest cultivators outside. My Dan Tower strictly adheres to regulations. Without conclusive evidence, no one has the authority to take away our cultivators. Not you, not even the insect nest master. You dare disrespect the insect nest master? Elder Sa Luo asked, staring at Luo Feng. The insect nest master was a formidable power on par with the three hall masters, far above the average elder level. Yes, I don't consider him worth my regard. Luo Feng returned Elder Sa Luo's gaze. You may convey my exact words to him. I, Luo Feng, will await him at any time. Changqing building owner stood stunned, looking at Luo Feng as if he were mad. So audacious. Changqing prided himself on maintaining good relations with various factions in Yulon City. He would never dare behave this brazenly. The gathered cultivators from both sides were also taken aback. Luo Feng Divine Emperor. Ji Qingyuan appeared incredulous. He had already prepared for the worst, even purchasing a substitute death treasure. Luo Feng's words shocked everyone present, brazenly humiliating the insect nest master without reservation. Fine then. I'll certainly relay your message exactly as you wish to the insect nest master. Elder Sa Luo sneered, turning to leave. Buzz. The life and death array activated, enveloping the Dan Tower complex in terrifying waves. Elder Sa Luo found himself trapped, unable to escape or dismantle the formation. He even sensed his own life force weakening and realized he couldn't recover. The change in circumstances made Elder Sa Luo's expression shift to one of horror. What are you doing? In the city, are you planning to attack? Elder Sa Luo glared at Luo Feng in a mix of anger and alarm. You came to my tower acting arrogant and now wish to leave? Such convenience isn't allowed here. Leave 1 billion primordial crystals as reparations, or stay a while longer at my Dan Tower, Luo Feng said with a calm firmness. Both sides of cultivators were stunned into silence, unwilling to get further involved. Elder Sa Luo was caught between panic and rage, calling for assistance from the insect nest master. Insect nest headquarters, within the massive spherical creature. The beautiful woman lay there as if deep in slumber, a transmitted message contacting her. The beautiful woman slowly opened her eyes, a hint of curiosity in her expression. Elder Sa Luo, what is the matter? She treated the 7 elder-level figures of the insect nest with courtesy. Insect nest master. Elder Sa Luo transmitted his response. I've been trapped by Luo Feng in the Dan Tower. He refuses to let me leave and demands I pay 1 billion primordial crystals as compensation before he will release me. How did you end up provoking Luo Feng? The beautiful woman looked puzzled. An alchemist in the Dan Tower poisoned and killed 2 of my subordinates. Here is the detailed report, Elder Sa Luo said, sending all the information. The beautiful woman reviewed the entire set of details. I went to Dan Tower in person, intending to apprehend the alchemist Ji Qingyuan. Elder Sa Luo declared helplessly, who would have thought that Luo Feng is so domineering? He trapped me directly with his formation and demanded compensation, not even showing you any respect. The beautiful woman inquired further. His formation could trap you, and you had no means of escaping. Yes? Elder Salua replied. The power of the formation was terrifying, completely suppressing me. I couldn't resist. If he could have broken through the formation by force, he would have done so long ago. Moreover, the formation is continuously draining my vitality, making me increasingly weak, Elder Saluo added. Insect Nest Master, Luo Feng is openly insulting us. Our insect nest cannot tolerate this. Why not tolerate it? The beautiful woman questioned. When facing a strong enemy, tolerance is sometimes necessary. Elder Saluo froze. Strong enemy? In the eyes of the insect nest master, Luo Feng was a strong enemy. As for the billion primordial crystals as compensation, there's no need to pay him. You are an elder, with many avatars. Simply abandon the avatar that's been trapped, the beautiful woman instructed. Elder Saluo protested helplessly. I came to Dan Tower in person, prepared to forcibly seize Jiyu Qingyuan. Because of this, I carried a full set of secret treasures worth over 1 billion primordial crystals. If it were a regular avatar, he would abandon it without hesitation. The hard-to-acquire complete set of secret treasures was tailored for him, impossible to discard lightly. Then offer the compensation, the beautiful woman said. If I do, our insect nest will lose face completely. Luo Feng is trampling on the reputation of our insect nest. Elder Saluo reminded her once more. Let him trample. The beautiful woman ended the communication. She never cared about such matters. Last time, he provoked me outside my cave mansion, now he openly disregards me. Is he pushing me to confront him? The beautiful woman grew increasingly wary, knowing a simple truth. The more an enemy wishes to accomplish something, the less you should let them succeed. There's already information about me circulating in Yulon City, and Luo Feng has previously engaged with me in spiritual combat. The beautiful woman thought deeply. He knows my capabilities yet still pushes me to act. He must have some degree of confidence. Has he gained a stronger spiritual technique? Or perhaps some other unknown method? She decided the only response was patience. Time would reveal Luo Feng's true capabilities. As long as Luo Feng is powerful enough, the truth will eventually come to light when he reveals his strengths. The beautiful woman remained calm and composed. The formation surrounding the Dan Tower complex was operating, forcibly trapping Elder Saluo and compelling him to provide compensation. The spectacle naturally stunned onlookers, and the news spread rapidly throughout the city. A Dan Tower, a faction primarily focused on alchemy, dared to provoke one of the 3 major looting factions, the Insect Nest. Factions capable of large-scale looting were invariably fearsome. The Insect Nest had its master and 7 elder-level figures, with numerous mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened individuals. Simply trapping Elder San Luo like this? The Changqing building owner expressed apprehension. I'll handle this matter, don't worry about it, Luo Feng said. The Changqing building owner was truly uneasy. His strength was insufficient to confront the insect nest directly or to act tough against them. Let's hope Luo Feng doesn't bring disaster upon me, the Changqing building owner thought anxiously. The trapped elder Saluo remained silent for a moment. Finally, he spoke, his tone noticeably softer. Luo Feng, this time I trespassed. Please release me. The Changqing building owner was surprised, while other members of the Dan Tower were astonished. Did he really yield? I've already said, pay 1 billion primordial crystals as compensation, and I'll let you go. Luo Feng stated coldly, staring at him. Elder Saluo felt profoundly stifled. He was a potent being of the source world, possessing multiple avatars, and didn't need to take Luo Feng's demand seriously. He yielded in hopes that Luo Feng might waive the billion primordial crystal demand. Luo Feng, my visit to Dan Tower was for Jiyu Qingyuan and not directed against you. Do you still insist on 1 billion primordial crystals for compensation? Elder Saluo couldn't help but reply. If it were directed against me, 1 billion primordial crystals wouldn't have sufficed, Luo Feng said, shooting a cold glare at Elder Sa Luo. Insect nest scum needed a lesson. If they were outside the city, Elder Sa Luo would have been crushed instantly. Even though Elder Sa Luo was fierce, he had no choice but to endure the situation. Soon after, another one of Elder Sa Luo's avatars brought along 1 billion primordial crystals. Here is 1 billion primordial crystals as compensation. He presented a bag full of primordial crystals. You may leave. Luo Feng accepted the compensation and let him go. As Elder Sa Luo departed, he glanced at Luo Feng and remarked, "Brother Luo Feng, you have my respect." Without saying another word, he left swiftly under the watchful eyes of many onlookers. He really offered compensation? The members of the Dan Tower were in disbelief. Forcing an elder in the city to obediently provide compensation? Unthinkable. Elders generally had avatars and were often unyielding, willing to have their avatars dissipate rather than lower their heads. Unknown to the Dan Tower members, even the insect nest master had chosen to tolerate this matter. Elder Sa Luo naturally sensed something was amiss, opting to suppress his emotions and not bring in reinforcements but instead to offer compensation, concede defeat, and resolve the conflict. Senior Luo Feng, Jiyu Qingyuan, the alchemist, bowed respectfully. "Thank you for saving my life." Without Luo Feng's deterrence, Jiyu Qingyuan would have been in mortal peril. Even if he had fled the city after poisoning, the insect nest's power would have traced time and causality. Jiyu Qingyuan would have been facing overwhelming odds. The death of his sole disciple had filled Jiyu Qingyuan with killing intent at the time, compelling him to poison the 2 perpetrators, ready to either escape if possible or face destruction together if not. "Trust that Sa Luo will no longer target you," Luo Feng said. "You can stay safely at the Dan Tower." "Yes, Senior." Jiyu Qingyuan felt immense gratitude. "All right, everyone can disperse now," the Changqing building owner said with a smile before pulling Luo Feng aside. "Brother Luo Feng, this time you openly humiliated the insect nest." The insect nest master must have heard about it, yet Sa Luo still obediently paid compensation. The Changqing building owner spoke urgently. Clearly, it wasn't Sa Luo who chose to relent, it was the insect nest master who chose to back down. "Why is that?" Luo Feng seemed thoughtful and then smiled. "Perhaps during our last confrontation, the insect nest master suffered significant injuries? Thus, she willingly chose to yield this time." As Luo Feng's cultivation progressed, the application of the Lai Yuan technique grew ever more terrifying, naturally amplifying his power. However, Luo Feng's strongest ability remained the combination of the undying heart and palm world during direct combat. Even the 3 hall masters didn't concern Luo Feng too much, let alone the insect nest master. "All right, no need to worry. Whatever they scheme, I'll handle it all," Luo Feng said with a faint smile, before turning and heading to his small building. He continued focusing on cultivation. Although he hadn't intentionally pursued the life and destruction fusion, the life and death Dao was just 1 step away from reaching the late-stage Divine Emperor. It was merely a matter of steady accumulation. Once the life and death Dao reaches the late-stage Divine Emperor, I can venture into the Dark Sacred Realm. I'll leave an avatar in Yulon City to repay Yuan Xiong Palace Master's kindness, but my main focus must be on exploring the Dark Sacred Realm. Within one of the core cave mansions in Yulon City, inside the tower filled with tens of thousands of terrifyingly powerful creatures, all of Divine Emperor level. Luo Feng doesn't give the insect nest any respect, openly humiliating them, and they tolerate it. Strange, very strange. The insect nest master's domineering nature suggests she wouldn't yield unless there was a specific reason. Is she afraid? Of all things, could she truly fear? Tens of thousands of creatures looked perplexed. This tower was the Shadow Tower. No one knew what the Shadow Tower master looked like. Among the tens of thousands within the tower, they only constituted part of the Shadow Tower master. The rest roamed the Dark Sacred Realm and other realms. He was a being of countless avatars. Master of Deceit Workshop, Shadow Tower Master, and Insect Nest Master, all established theft and looting factions, each notoriously formidable. Luo Feng tramples on the insect nest's reputation, and Elder Sa Luo obediently compensates with 1 billion primordial crystals. Elder Shingi, his branches already blooming with flowers, stood in Yulon City, enjoying an exceptionally exalted status as a direct disciple of a peerless being in the dark sacred realm. Even the 3 hall masters had to show him respect. Luo Feng, newly arrived in Yulon City, coalesced with Emperor Qing, hunting only early-stage divine emperor, low-level primordial life. Yet now, he can elicit fear from the insect nest master? Showing a glimmer of my master's skill. Elder Shingi contemplated. Even Elder Shingi rarely saw his own master. Among the illustrious figures of the dark sacred realm, none could compare to his master. Asterisk 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 asterisk. In the most expansive cave mansion within Yulon City, Wei Yang Palace Master sat there, his gaze deep, expressionless, reading the latest intelligence. He was intimately aware of every facet of Yulon City and well acquainted with Yuan Xiong Palace Master's worsening condition. He had already prepared himself to take on the role of City Lord. Luo Feng? Wei Yang Palace Master studied the intelligence, his brow furrowed, growing so fast. The Master of Deceit Workshop had previously suggested recruiting Luo Feng, but Wei Yang Palace Master had refrained, sensing a potent threat in Luo Feng. Insect nest, Luo Feng behaves so tyrannically, and yet you tolerate it. Wei Yang Palace Master transmitted the question to the insect nest master. He is proficient in the secret technique of spiritual will and has engaged me in spiritual combat before. I prefer not to provoke him. The insect nest master replied. Just spiritual combat? Wei Yang Palace Master pressed. Yes, if I possessed a strong secret treasure capable of protecting my spiritual will, I would have no qualms about teaching him a lesson. The insect nest master responded. Wei Yang Palace Master asked no further questions. Moments later. Palace Master, what rank should Luo Feng hold in the latest Divine Emperor rankings? An underling transmitted the inquiry. Wei Yang Palace Master slightly furrowed his brows and commanded, rank him at 33rd. This episode is end here.